Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Shadow Pidgeot in the Open Great League. This Pokemon got newly released, but also this team here is going to be a triple Shadow line, which is so much fun to play. And honestly, I lost nearly every lead with this team, and I was still able to come back from so many bad matchups. And we're going to see it here today. Like this team, I went way positive with it, and it was like so much fun to play. So highly would recommend you to try this one out as well. Here we're going to see here right now that the opponent has a Dugong Seisob against our Gligar. Really bad, right? Depends, because actually you win this in the zero shield if the opponent does not want to throw. And also, this kind of allows us now to align our Pidgeot against the opponent, and we have to see what they're going to have in the back. But basically, there were so many teams of the lead of Annihilate and the Seisob of Dugong, which is so bad for this team here, but we still were able to come back from them. They're going to be more, but I can explain a little bit more about the matchups itself and like how different kind of variations going to play out. But here we will be able to knock out the opponent, and they're going to have in the back a Skarmory, so it's going to be a good game. Let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to have here the only positive lead that I actually encountered, and this was actually way positive because the opponent was apparently not prepared for Magnezone, as they're going to have the next Pokemon here, the Charmer, the Wigglytuff, which is going to be also very weak to us, and we can just go for the safe play of going for the Mirror Shot. It's going to be able to get a shield most likely now, as they kind of want to get a charge move off against me, but I can just use a shield as well. They're going to debuff me, all totally fine, but it really depends on what they're going to have in the back now, alright? So let's see what we can do here. I make maybe a little bit of a mistake here for the next matchup, which you're going to see. It's going to be the Empoleon coming back in. I sure went straight for the Wild Charge because now I just gave the opponent a little bit more farm. Like, it doesn't really matter the damage that I did against the opponent. It just gave him more farm, that's basically it. And so it can be a little bit trickier for my Gligar to still reach a dig in time, but we still should be able, I think, to do it by like one turn. So let's take a look at this one. I'm going to wait out here. I was expecting them to catch, but it did not work out for them. They decided to go for an extra fast move, and so I can knock them out. Let's see what they have in the back. It's going to be a Ninetales. Here I make a little bit of a mistake, but nothing too crazy. I decided to go for the Aerial Ace here. I did not know that I would get so fast to the Brave Bird, but it is going to be okay because now the opponent is either forced to go for a charge move, or they're going to die to another Aerial Ace, and they decide to go out here against the Pidgeot, and so it's going to be a very good game. Next opponent. Clodsire in the lead, horrible lead, literally one of the worst leads possible. Here we have to play a little bit more creative, which we're gonna see as well. I make a mistake here. This is something where I did not need to use a shield here at all, because the opponent was clearly just going for the Sludge Bomb. I was just not sure if I was like counting correctly, because the Stone Edge would have done way more damage, of course, but I think it was just barely off of a Stone Edge, so that was kind of my mistake. But kinda I'm forced to align myself here, because if I don't align myself, like Gligar is great against Clodsire, but in this position, basically, if I don't align myself, it's already over, because, like, yeah, my Magnezone can not do anything against Clodsire. It's literally the worst answer for it. But here, as you can see, they sadly survive with 1 HP with my Brave Bird, but it's totally okay, because we can use our last shield as well. But like this, we're gonna get alignment, and the opponent swaps into their Feraligatr, and so we can reach some Aerial Aces, but it's still going to be a tough matchup, because it's a Shadow Feraligatr. If it was a normal one, I would have not really had an issue with it, because then we would have easily been able to survive 1 Hydro Cannon on our Magnezone. But of course, we have to align our Magnezone, and now I have to make a play here. I have to swap immediately. I know they're still survivor, just barely, but I have to hope that they swap out as well. They decide to not swap out, and so sadly this is going to be game over. If they swap out into their Clodsire, most I would have been able to win this game, but like this, I am not going to be able to, and this was just a hard wall to me. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next opponent. We're going to have a Sableye in the lead. Fairly neutral. Like, it's definitely something that you can play out. You don't really need to play out, but like here we're going to be able to just go ahead and go for a Wild Charge, get the shield, and just swap out. This is the thing as well. Basically, they're going to get to the charge move at the same time as we get to our charge move, but they always kind of want to throw in the middle of our fast move animation, and so they usually go for 7 fast moves on the Sableye instead of 6, which they need to go for a charge move, and we can just go straight for our Wild Charge and get a guaranteed shield. That's basically what I would do in this scenario. If you want to be a little bit risky, you can also go for the Mirror Shot as a bait, but yeah, really depends on you. The issue with Mirror Shot bait is just if they let this move go through, you're going to be kind of screwed, but if you're going to be able to get the shield, you're going to only need 2 more Volt Switches to get to the next Wild Charge, which is kind of handy as well. Here we're going to see that the opponent decided to swap out into their Whiscash, which is amazing, because like this we can align our Pidgeot. I'm just going to go for the Aerial Ace. We don't really care too much about anything else. On the Shadow Pidgeot, you kind of want to have Aerial Ace, which is also just a standard move, like it's not like Legacy or anything. So Aerial Ace is going to allow you to just do a little bit more damage a little bit faster, and it's definitely an interesting way of playing this Pokemon because I never really played like this, but it definitely worked out really well, I have to say. Here we were able to still get to a Brave Bird, and we can even try to reach another charge move, but sadly the opponent still tries to knock us out. Aerial Ace is going to be able to do that, but we can swap into our Magnezone. Magnezone can't take any move, everything is double resisted, and so the opponent is gonna go down. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have Annihilape in the lead. What a surprise. We can swap out into our Gligar, and let's see what's coming in. Of course, it's going to be Dewgong. As said before, I encountered this team, I think, like 3 or 4 times with this team, which is kind of mad because this is a hard wall, but we saw already in the first battle, we were able to come back. And here we're going to see a different way of playing this out, because the opponent decided to use a shield here. And here's the thing, like this matchup, while it looks bad for us, it's actually also kind of bad for the opponent, no matter what they're going to do. Why? Because now I'm going to get so much energy on my Magnezone that basically my matchup later on might be actually fairly decent for us. Yes, we have to use 2 shields here, but the opponent is already 1 shield down as well. And I just gonna get so much energy that I can just go for a bait against even the opponent's Annihilape that's coming in. But they're swapping into the Lickitung, and this is going to be such an awkward matchup for me. So what I do here, I actually should have only went for 1 fast move. I decided to go for 2 charge moves for whatever, fast move here, of course, for whatever reason. But at least I can swap into my Pidgeot. Good thing for us is that the opponent got an attack drop, which is really important for us as well. So we can try to just get some wing attack damage in so far. The opponent goes for the Body Slam, doing some decent damage, but we can just try to go for the big Brave Bird here to knock them out, because this is our best bet, basically. If the opponent lets this move go through, we can align ourselves later on. We can go for an Aerial Ace still immediately against the Annihilape. If they would use a shield, I can just go for 1 more fast move on my Magnezone. I would have been fine to go for back-to-back wild charges. But like this, we can just go for 1 more wild charge and goodbye to the Annihilape. And again, a hard wall, even though they were able to realign themselves, did not work out for them, and we can move on to the next opponent. Gligar in the lead. Next, hard wall in the lead. That's great, right? Funny thing here is you're going to be able to outspeed them. You're going to be able to get to your Wild Charge before they can go for their dig. And this is going to be important because Wild Charge actually does quite a lot of damage, and so the opponent decides to use a shield here as well. And like this, we can just realign ourselves. Like, we can just go ahead and go into our own Gligar, and it's totally fine. So we have a shield advantage. Our lead has basically still full HP. We can still take 2 Aerial Aces on our own Gligar. We still should be able to reach maybe another Aerial Ace afterwards as well. And it looks fairly decent for us. Like, honestly, it's not really a bad matchup at all, even though, like, Gligar is, of course, usually a hard wall. It's not worth it to go for a shield here, by the way, because the opponent would be able to just farm us all the way down. So I'd rather go into my Magnezone. Sadly, I kind of make a misplay here because I decided to swap in immediately, and now my switch clock wasn't up yet, which is definitely an issue for me. But I still will be able to get a shield here, which is kind of important, as we can use our own shield in order to, shield up the Scald, which is kind of great. They sadly get the attack drop, which is kind of not great, but this allows us to still knock them out. We just have to hope that there's something in the back that we can still deal with. We know already about the Gligar, of course, which we can go ahead and go for the Aerial Ace, but we have to see what it's going to be in the back. And honestly, this play did not make sense from the opponent. They have a Lantern in the back. Why did they not go into the Lantern immediately? Like, this does not make any sense at all. But like this, we can go ahead, go for the Brave Bird. It's resisted, but also we were debuffed, but still it did so much damage, and now 1 Wild Charge is all it takes, and we can win this game. Good game there, but again, weird play with the Gligar. Let's move on to the next opponent. We're going to have here the Magnezone against the Whiscash in the lead. Isn't this amazing? Of course it is not, but we can swap out immediately into our Gligar. Gligar can go for the Aerial Ace before they can reach a Scald, which is kind of important. You still survive 1 Scald from the opponent, but here getting the move off early is kind of nice for us. We can use the shield here as well because their Shadow would do quite a little bit more damage here, but the opponent decides to swap out into their own Gligar, which is going to be tricky. So we have 2 ground types here against us already, and so this is not looking really great for us at all. Like, literally, it looks so bad for us. So I don't know if we can actually still do anything here. Like, in hindsight, I should have most likely used a shield against the Scald there, but of course I didn't really know what they would have in the back. I did not expect that they would have a double ground line here against our Magnezone, but Mirror Shot is going to be able to 2-shot the opponent here, which is can be very decent, but we have to hope that there's something in the back at least that we can still deal with. Okay, they decided to use a shield here. I'm fine with that. I can use a shield shield as well, we're gonna get them low. And also if we're gonna get the final shield from the opponent, oh, they're actually swapping out into their Whiscash. This is going to be a little bit better for us, but yeah, if we get the final shield, basically Brave Bird would have been able to be really nice for us, but here we have to take one move. The opponent does not get the debuff, which is kind of important, so I can go for an aerial ace early on here, which is hopefully getting the knockout. It does. Okay, we see what they're going to have in the back. It's going to be an Altaria. We can still reach the Brave Bird, which is kind of important for us as well, but it's still not really over. The Gligar has some energy, so I need to have some energy on my Magnezone as well. And so I try to go for the full farm down here because I needed 2 Mirror Shots in order to knock them out in time. But sadly, I can still go for the Moonblast. Still kind of close game. Need 1 more Volt Switch to knock them out, but let's move on to the next opponent. Against the Lantern, we have actually kind of a great lead. Here, I should have either swapped out earlier or I should have went for a charge move and then swapped out. Like what I did here is basically the worst possible play I think that I could have done in this scenario, so that was not really great. But I know, of course, also that my team is kind of decent against the lead that they had, so we're gonna be able to just go ahead and just, yeah, let the move go through. I don't really care too much about aligning myself right now, and so I can go back into my Magnezone, I would imagine, as this is going to just, yeah, be 1 Volt Switch and knock them out. In comes a Medicham, very bad for me. So, I can go for the Mirror Shot bait, and this is going to allow us to hopefully get a shield from the opponent, but also we have to swap out now, as the opponent is going to go ahead and go for 1 Ice Punch. Of course, it's going to do the most amount of damage here. So I'm going to use a shield, and they swap back into the Lantern again. Lantern is going to not be as great for them here as well, because they still have the Dig, which is going to be super effective, and also add some energy lead, which is kind of nice. They decide to use a shield. Issue here is, of course, that they're gonna still do a ton of damage with their fast move, even though it's resisted here, and they kind of put us into the range for 1 serve eventually. So we're gonna be able to go for the Dig, gonna be able to get them kind of low, but we have to see if we can still reach that aerial ace. Let's see how much damage a serve does. It is not going to knock us out, and so we can still reach it in time, knocking them out. And now I just try to get as much fast move damage against the Medicham, because we have that wild shot stored, and like this is like the most important thing about Magnezone. Always try to keep some energy on this thing, because it's so good in the end game. As you can see here, boom, goodbye, and we win this game. Next opponent. Here, I should have played a little bit differently, because for me, I was like, I have 2 Flying-type Pokemon in the back. For me, it would be kind of silly to not really use that advantage here against the opponent's Victory Bell. In hindsight, because, like, if you encounter a Victory Bell, basically everyone has a Bastion in the back. I should have most likely just stayed in the matchup. I should have most likely just stayed in. Here, also going for the Dig seems kind of smart because, oh, I waited out for the time or whatever. But no, actually, if I went for 2 aerial aces, I think I would have done more damage because I barely missed out on the next one. And so we're in a really tough spot. I'm forced to go into Magnezone because the opponent has, of course, charge moves that are all only going to be resisted against me. But I still expecting at least a Bastion in the back here, and so I kind of really misplayed this game. What I should have done is I should have stayed in against the Victory Bell, should have tried to get some shields against it. Most I would have got 2 shields against it, and then go into my Pidgeot later on and just farm it down, but like I didn't, and so I lose this game, so yeah, kind of sad for me. Final battle for today, and we're going to have another Annihilate and another Dugong Core. What a surprise. So again, here we're going to be able to go for a Dig, and like this is a lose-lose scenario for the opponent. Unless, I guess, if the opponent goes for a charge move, they're going to be able to have a better time. But, like, they're all kind of so greedy for whatever reason that we're going to always be able to go for 2 digs, which is really nice for us. Like, for the opponent's Dugong, they have to go for a charge move against us in order to have any chance of really winning this matchup. So, we're going to be able to align ourselves. We can go into our Pidgeot against the Annihilate again, and we will be able to shield up the move here, which might be even an Ice Punch, but it's very likely a close combat, which is kind of nice for us. And they have in the back a Skarmory, so this game is over. We can just actually go for the full farm down here. I think with our Magnezone, the opponent has nowhere to go. And so, yeah, this is going to be it for this game kind of already, because we see already we can just go for a ton of charge moves here and we should be kind of fine. Double Wild Charge coming through. If they want to use a shield, they can do that, but we still have our own shield left. And so, yeah, they can just try to prolong that, but we already kind of won this battle. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Triple Shadow, kind of nice. We're going to be able to see here what the Pidgeot can do as well. Very cool Pokemon to use. Pidgeot, very much fun to play. Here I was a little bit scared because I had the issue prior, if you saw like the video with Groudon, where I got a win denied, but I still was able to get the win here. So good game there. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.